Welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Report, brought to you by Red Raider Outfitter, the fans' favorite since 1975. I'm Jared Johnson. I'm joined by the Mighty Joe Yeager. Well, Mighty Joe, Texas Tech's 3-3 midway through the season, 1-2 in the Big 12. They have a bye week. Of course, they're still practicing, but they're not playing this weekend. They host West Virginia on the 22nd, I think 2 p.m., and the game will either be on FS1 or FS2. But we're going to break down the offense and the defense. Up first, we're just doing the offense in this video. Look for the video on defense coming up here very soon. But, Mighty Joe, what's your overall take on Texas Tech's offense so far halfway through the season? Be kind.
Yeah. Of course. Am I ever anything but kind?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'd say right now it's a work in progress. I would say pass-run ratio is about what I would have expected.
Yeah.
Pretty pass-heavy.
Yeah.
We've seen, sporadic attempts to get the running game going.
Yeah.
At times it has showed some promise. A lot of times it has not. I mean, let's face it, I'd have to say that the productivity of the running game up to this point is something of a disappointment. Hoping for more with Taj Brooks and Sir Roderick Thompson, a couple of really good backs back there. Obviously, there are issues up front that have contributed to that. But, I mean, it's ringing up some pretty good points, running up some pretty good yards. But, again, when you sometimes running into the more tough defensive that they've seen on the schedule so far, they've struggled at times. It's just been kind of hit and miss, kind of inconsistent. You feel like these guys haven't completely got it rolling yet. It's not a consistent thing where whoever you play, you're hitting at least 30 points and putting up 450 yards or 500 or whatever. We're not seeing that yet. Obviously the whole situation at quarterback is another thing altogether. We can't omit that. Right now it's a little bit of a hodgepodge. Not a strong identity yet, and still, like I said, a work in progress.
Well, let's jump into the position groups, starting with quarterback. Why not? Of course, we haven't seen a whole lot of Tyler Shuck. Seen a lot of Donovan Smith. I mean, mixed results. It really has been a roller coaster. He was terrific. He was both terrific and terrible against Houston, let's be honest. He was Big 12 Player of the Week for that performance and had the game-winning touchdown, but he also had 3 interceptions, including a pick 6. Struggled at NC State, threw another pick 6, more interceptions, but was very good against Texas. And then you come back, struggled at Kansas State, and then, of course, Barrett Morton played at Oklahoma State and was terrific until he was injured. Second half, his mobility was limited with the twisted ankle, and it just wasn't the same offensive attack all the way around. And I do think a lot of that had to do with Morton getting injured. But what's your take on quarterbacks? Of course, it's Red Baron era now, right? In our minds, that's what we're looking for?
Yeah, well, I think everybody.
Yeah.
At least, everybody outside of the coaching staff. We don't.
Right here,
the guys who count.
Right.
We really don't know. I mean, they're playing it cagey.
Yeah.
They're not coming out and saying anything. Well, it's Red Baron's offense from here on out.
Right.
Nothing like that. That could be gamesmanship.
Sure.
Just giving West Virginia, planting a seed of doubt.
Sure.
But then again, maybe that's the square biz. Maybe they really are just going to let it roll into the week before West Virginia. They're going to go based on who's the healthiest and who's looking best in practice that week. But yeah, I think for the rest of us, it's pretty clear that what Barron did against Oklahoma State justifies another shot at it, to at least see if he can put it together a couple of games in a row and see what he can do at home versus on the road against a defense that is not quite as stout as Oklahoma State. If he was able to do what he did at Oklahoma State, what might he be able to do against West Virginia here in this stadium? I think we'd all like to see that. And potentially it could be pretty spectacular, so I hope that's the case.
Yeah, and Tyler Shuck, of course, has been out with that injury, that shoulder injury, since the opening week. He got hurt that first game, and Coach McGuire said earlier this week, maybe he'll be cleared in time for West Virginia, but he's still thinking it's more Baylor. And he also teased that whole 3 quarterbacks on the field at the same time thing, which I don't know, sounds crazy to me. He sounds really excited about that package, and I don't know. Again, that might just be gamesmanship too, or not. Maybe they do have a bunch of packages. It seems like, let's go to the next position group. It seems like they have a really good group of receivers. We'll come back to the running backs, but I know that not everybody sees it this way, but you and I actually agree on this, that they have like a pretty good group of seniors outside Trey Cleveland. Talked with Durand Bradley earlier this week, and just his confidence. He said things are really slowing down for him. I really like what we saw from him against Oklahoma State. JJ Sparkman, when he's healthy, he had a thumb issue, I believe, which he's expected to be back for West Virginia. Go down the list. Obviously, Miles Price, he's expected to be back. He missed the Oklahoma State game with an ankle injury. Xavier White was really good in place. Nehemiah Martinez. So, I mean, Brady Boyd. Keep going down the list of all these guys. To me, I like them. I like there's versatility, there's size, there's some speed. Maybe not a completely take off the top of the defense, but still an overall quality group of receivers for this team to work with.
Yeah, I mean, and you were going down that list, and what stands out about that is the list itself, the depth.
Yeah.
I mean, you can lose somebody.
Yeah.
Whether it be a Miles Price or a JJ Sparkman or whoever, and it doesn't, you don't miss a beat really.
Right.
So there's a ton of depth at receiver, and these guys have pretty good hands too. I mean, we haven't seen too many drops this year.
I mean, we just jinxed it, but yeah.
Yeah, right. So I mean, yeah, it's you could use a little bit more speed, and that's a little bit more maybe electricity out of that group, and that's where I was hoping that a guy like Jordan Brown would be able to come in and provide a little bit of a spark. That hasn't materialized yet. I kind of get the impression that maybe he's still assimilating the offense, learning the playbook, the routes, and so forth, and that's been kind of what's holding him back a little bit. But yeah, I mean, a pretty good group. I've been very pleasant surprised with Nehemiah Martinez.
Yeah.
This is a guy that kind of sort of came out of the woodwork. You saw him play in high school.
I did.
And I thought he was pretty good.
He also had a really good fall camp.
Right.
So I was like, I don't see how they're going to keep this guy off the field. And it turns out,
That's right, and so they haven't. And so, yeah, I mean, particularly that inside receiver spot, you got more depth than you can handle. So, I mean, I'm pleased with it. I don't really, I've heard people complain that there's not a go-to receiver. Well, so what? I mean, you've got a bunch of guys who can play. I mean, a bunch of guys you can throw the ball to. Do you absolutely have to have the one big dog all the time for it to be a good group?
Right.
I don't know about that. I'm happy with this group the way it is, and I'm looking forward to seeing. And Trey Cleveland, boy, the way he's been coming on these last few games, you're wondering about your go-to receiver. There's a guy who is a candidate to be that go-to receiver if he continues to progress.
And then I didn't even mention Loic Fungi. You mentioned Jordan Brown, who I didn't initially lift off the list. It's a deep group. It really is. And then, going back to running backs, obviously it's been the Sir Roderick Thompson and Taj Brooks show. Cameron Valdez has been hurt with one injury or another for most of the season, so we haven't really seen him yet. And it's just been those two guys, and they haven't gotten a lot of carries, so it's not like they're getting overworked. I mean, maybe Sir Roderick against Oklahoma State, but their stats aren't impressive. But we know what they have in those two guys. I think it's more of a product of the offensive line, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But I still think those two guys have been good, but not spectacular.
Yeah, that's right. And, it's becoming, you're saying the Brooks and Thompson show, but it's becoming more just the Thompson show lately. It's like these last 2 or 3 games, he's really been getting the lion's share of the carries. We did the little piece where all the guys from the site said, offensive MVP, defensive MVP, and I think 4 out of 5 went with Sir Roderick Thompson for the offensive MVP right now, which is a function of 2 things. Thompson's playing pretty well, but there's not anybody else who just really stands out as your offense.
Hard, right? I was like,
I know.
Who asked this question?
Yeah. Who was that maniac? But that's kind of the default guy, I mean, he's been a solid player, and you feel like, I'll tell you one thing about Thompson is he looks like a dangerous back. He tough guy to get to the ground. He's capable of bouncing it outside. He's got some good speed. I just feel like if he can just get a little bit more help out of that offensive line, you're going to see him break some really long runs in the second half of the season. At least I hope so.
And what about the tight ends? They haven't seen a lot of action, but they were really good against Texas. And, again, it's pretty deep for considering their usage. Baylor Cupp, Mason Tharp, Henry Teeter, pretty good group of tight ends for Texas Tech.
Yeah, which is what we thought going into the season, and that's actually materialized. I guess the question is why they're not getting the ball more often.
Right.
Everybody's kind of been wondering that. Is that Kitley? Or are these guys, do they not trust them enough to throw the ball? Do they trust their other receivers more?
Yeah.
Or are these guys having a hard time getting open? I mean, something's going on there because you've got, 3 guys who are on the field an awful lot. It seems like Tech has got at least one tight end out there on most plays, or a very high percentage of them. Why aren't they getting the ball more? I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future.
And then the offensive line, look, no surprise, I think, to us. I know I've been saying it for a long time. I'm tired of saying it, to be honest. But I was afraid it was going to be a weakness of the team. It has been a weakness on the team, both in pass blocking and in run blocking. You can say the quarterbacks should do a better job of getting the ball out of their hands. You can say Kitley can do a better job of protecting the offensive line or dialing up better plays. You can say the receivers could do a better job of getting out of their breaks faster. I know that's something that Coach McGuire said earlier in the week, and that's fine. But look, the offensive line's a problem. This is all excuses. To me, the offensive line was thought to be a problem. It is a problem, and it's probably going to be a problem moving forward the rest of the season. That's just is what it is. Now, I will say this. I think Wilburn at center, whoever's been at right guard, whether it be Jackson or Peterson, and then Monroe Mills has been pretty good. They've been better than what I was expecting on the right side. It's been the left side with the veterans, which has been, let's face it, a big problem for this offense.
Yeah, it's I think the main problem with the left side of the offensive line has been pass protection.
Yes.
I mean, they've been getting eaten up,
Yep.
over there on that side of the ball. And then, in the running game, I don't think Tech has been able to run it to the right very well. They've been running, whenever you see Sir Roderick break something off, it's usually over the left side of the line. So these guys on the left seem to be doing okay in run blocking. The guys on the right are okay in pass protection. But as a unit, it's just it's not good enough right now. And, all this stuff about, well, these guys are responsible and the failings of this guy is contributing. Well, that's deflection.
I feel
listen,
like it is too.
we can see what's going on there.
Right.
And when guys are getting pushed back, the pocket breaks, and Baron Morton's running for his life as soon as the ball is snapped. And you're not getting any push in the running game. Guys are getting stoned 1 yard, 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and they're good backs. Listen, hey, it's the offensive line. Call it what it is. We're going to call it what it is.
Right.
So, there's an issue there.
Yeah, but overall, I think there's some reason for optimism. Baron Morton showed a lot. They've played a really tough schedule. I know they have some tough games remaining on the back half of their schedule, but so far, I think they've been pretty good overall. The team and the offense has a lot of room for improvement, a lot of reason for optimism. But that's going to do it for our midterm breakdown of the offense. Look out for the same on the defense coming up. Monty Joe, great stuff from you as always. Thank you for watching, and until next time.